Okay, we're going to start. Sadly, we were expecting Matthew, the architect, to be here to speak, and maybe he'll come a little bit later, but we'll just start anyway, and he can fit in if he comes after we've begun. So, right, just going through all the public question time. I've answered that question already. It should be Matthew talking about his designs for the toilet. We'll talk about that later. We're going to record the meeting, and it's on its way, isn't it? It's doing it now.
It is.
Does anyone else want to record the meeting as well? No. Apologies for absence. There's quite a few.
So we've got Councillor Collin, written dispensation, Councillor Green, Councillor Whitelaw, Councillor Brooke, Councillor Dixon and Councillor Bellamy, all for the reasons that have been emailed out to everyone. So it needs a vote to consider the apologies and reasons for absence for approval.
Are we all okay? We're okay with the reasons for absence. Okay. No updated disclosable pecuniary and personal interest forms, are there?
No.
But does anyone want to?
Do I need to mention that I'm chairman of Local Community Partnership?
You do, but that's in the next item.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So what's item 63?
Yes.
Sort of Harry said. Right. Okay, Harry. So yeah.
Declaration that you are.
I'm the chairman of Local Community Partnership.
Yes. Okay.
And just to remind everyone that if you've listed in your written declaration as a pecuniary or other interest an organisation or body which features in the agenda, then you should declare it. If you've got a pecuniary or other interest not listed in the written declaration in an organisation or body which features in the agenda, then you should declare it. And the onus is on you as individual members to make declarations appropriately.
I'll declare an interest in the item 72, is it? The one about the Gartside unit and the tourism partnership.
Because of the heritage thing. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I've got a stepson thing, and the cheese shop's coming up. I go in the cheese shop a lot. I wonder if they're best. I don't know if that.
I don't think you have to
I don't think as well. It's up to you. If you want to declare it, you can declare it.
You spend that much cheese.
Well, it's my second favourite shop in Hurlingham.
But that wasn't an advert though, was it?
Well, nobody will know because that's in there.
Okay, right. Items to be discussed in private session. I don't think there are any.
No, I was just going to advise and say that in terms of, I know some things were sent out. Actually, are we at private session? I know I did send out some documentations only to members due to commercial sensitivity. But the item itself, I think, should be heard in public session, not private session. I'm talking about the Gartside unit.
Yeah.
And when the item is considered, it may be that you as a committee want to direct that the papers should be appended to the minutes so that you've got full transparency. That's up to you to decide.
Okay.
Right, the minutes of the previous Service Provision Committee meeting, which I've just signed, they have been approved, so it's just to note that they're done and signed.
I've got quite a lot to report back on, if that's okay.
Carry on.
So, minute 252650 from the meeting on the 17th of November. Can I just update the committee regarding the sighting of the 3-tier planter from Home Burke, which was removed due to centre works? If you remember, this 3-tier planter does belong to Kirklees, but a member of the public have been in touch with Councillor Dixon saying it seemed a waste for that to end up being skipped. So, first of all, we did try to arrange for Home Pride to receive the planter as suggested for Homeside Memorial Gardens. There were issues with the timings over that, also where the planter was to be positioned. So that arrangement could could not be resolved upon with Reynolds. But Honley Village Community Trust also contacted the parish council and asked if the planter could be sited at the community garden that's under development in Honley, adjacent to the co-op car park. I'm not sure if this is quite going ahead. There has been agreement between Reynolds and Honley Village Community Trust to site the planter at least temporarily at Honley Library. Whether it's then going to stay at Honley Library or move to this community garden that's under development, I'm not quite sure. But it isn't being skipped. And thanks, I think, need to go to Reynolds for the fact that they, gone the extra mile and that they are moving it, because it's not something that you could just move even if you had a sort of truck or whatever. It needs equipment to move it. But I just wanted to update you as to where we were with that one.
Can I ask where it actually is now?
I'm not quite sure when the transfer was going to take place, but it is definitely going to somewhere at the side of Honley Library to begin with. I think the issue is they quite like it in this community garden, but they don't want it there until the spring, when they'll actually, well, not that far from the spring now, of course. So, but so I'm not quite sure whether it's been moved or not. Reynolds were being in direct contact with one of the members of Honley Village Community Trust.
Right, thank you.
And another update is to do with, again, minute 252650 from our last meeting. Thank you letter to the dog waste bag volunteers. You resolved to do this several meetings ago, and it was raised on the 17th of November. Not yet done it, but it is on my actions list. I have not forgotten. It will get there eventually.
Thank you.
And also the Fair and Funky Heron installation. If you remember, it was being suggested to Fair and Funky that was delayed into the new year. We have had communication back from them that they want it to go on to the back wall now, sometime this month until the 18th of March, when I think they are intending to use this heron display as part of their sort of winding up of Fair and Funky, because they're coming to an end. But I've not had confirmation from them about that. Did say what you agreed in the last meeting was that I'd email out when I knew what the definite arrangement was. I haven't got a definite date yet for when it's going to be installed. Okay. But just to say that they have confirmed they want to now do it on the back wall. This is important because you'll see item 71. You've got another request to consider in terms of people wanting to use the walls of Home First public toilets for advertising different things, but there isn't a clash between when Fair and Funky want to do it, I think, and when the Festival of Folk want to use it. But you'll come to that in a later item.
Sorry, the back wall being the one overlooking the car park, or looking out onto the old gen.
Yeah, no, well, Fair and Funky originally asked for it to be around the side. The ones overlooking Old Gem. They've now said what they want is to do it on the back wall, overlooking the car park. The Festival of Folk, the one you're going to come to a little bit later in the agenda, they want the side ones overlooking Old Gem.
Chair, for us to have advertisements on the sides of buildings, we need commercial planning permission to do that. You can't just randomly put adverts on the sides of buildings. You do need planning permission, so maybe that's something you need to consider.
For the boat festival?
For any sort of advertising.
Well, we're not doing advertising.
We're displaying what's allowed.
Yeah.
You will still need planning permission.
Promoting, not advertising.
It'll be less than 28 days, so I think we
Yeah,
can.
that was it.
Yeah. Are you talking about the heron?
And the folk festival.
Yeah, the folk festival banner, yeah, but the heron is an art piece that we agreed about a while ago. It's not
So is it going up for 28 days and then coming back down?
Is that going to have implications for the car park? Is there going to be enough space to do it? Create it? I mean, the plan was to create it in situ, I think, rather than doing
Well,
it.
I'm not so sure.
Oh,
I don't
right.
think they were that specific. So yeah,
It
but
just-
if you're thinking.
I can't remember, I've parked in that car park a million times, and I can't remember how much space there is between the car space and the wall. But I don't think it's all that big, is it?
And if you were doing it on the side, it wouldn't affect it, but if you're
Doing
doing it on the back
it
wall,
will, won't it? Not that I want to put a downer on it, because I'm very keen to have a heron on our toilets, but nor do I want anybody to be getting run over, especially not by me.
Do you think, Jen, that perhaps we should just ask them to do it on this? Because I presumed if they were putting it on the back wall where the parking is, that it would come as a piece and they would just put it on the wall. But if they're going to make it there, it's not going to work.
No.
Also, if you're closing the car park for the installation, you will have to pay the council for the loss of earnings while you're doing that, and you're aware of that.
The solar panels. Yeah.
Just something, maybe they've just not, while it was on the side, it didn't.
I think it's probably not been thought through actually. Just thinking different facets of the building doesn't make any difference, but it might do.
Yes.
It will do, won't it?
How do we know actually how high, wide?
No.
No, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Well, the size it
No.
did come in the original request, you know, but that's way back, isn't
Yeah.
it? But I think there's size and.
And it was definitely, to start with,
It was,
the
yes.
Inside.
Yes,
It
it's
was.
changed.
and now it's changed.
I mean, you know, it could be put up using 2 step ladders without affecting.
I think so. It depends how they're going to construct the
Yes.
stage, doesn't it? Yeah. We'll find out.
Right.
Find out
Thank
what
you.
we're doing.
Right, so I put as an action for me to contact them in just asking to clarify what they mean by, you know, what it would take to install it, because to remind them that, you know, we're not going to authorise closing the car park or paying for that, and that is a change from what they originally asked. And that they know about the 28 days, that's
Yeah.
definite.
Yeah, no, because we discussed that before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Tendering process also came up in the previous meetings, matters arising, and that will be dealt with in item 79, maintenance contracts.
Okay.
So
Anything else?
that's
That's it? That's it? Right. 66 is our item of prioritising climate action in our activities. I can name a couple of things that we do that are following that agenda. So I don't know, has anyone else got any comments to make about that? No? Right. Budgetary matters. I thought Rich was going to
Yes, well,
try on this.
we're trying to rationalise and make sure that members of the clerking team aren't attending meetings where perhaps their input would be less
Yeah.
in terms of making good use of hours. So, although I've put Deputy Clerk RFO to report further, actually when Rich and I discussed it, he has submitted a written report which basically summarises everything he'd say to you.
Yeah.
And so we thought this would be a good meeting for him to not attend.
Yeah.
So I hope that he understands that. So I'm happy to answer any questions arising from Rich's report. I do know that one motion you may want to consider is that any underspend from seats and shelters budget 2024 to 25 is moved into an EMR at the end of this financial year with the purpose, and we would need to minute this, to contribute to the repair of Haydeck Shelter Route. Probably,
Yes.
it looks like we're going to have an underspend of around £5,000 at the moment.
AH and Honley, there's 2 shelter routes.
Well,
Potentially, the matter.
the Honley shelter hasn't been resolved about whether it actually is going to be repaired yet, but the Haydeck one keeps coming up as one.
Yeah.
That absolutely does. And I'll talk about that a bit later, but I'm glad that you mentioned that about if there was money left over, because I wasn't quite sure when I looked at the columns what there was.
So if anyone's
But we're
got
going to
any,
talk about it later,
yeah,
in the individual items.
yeah. And
Okay.
if anyone's got any questions regarding Richard's report, or any comments or things that they want taking back to Rich.
I just want clarification as to whether I've understood it correctly. It seems like on some budgets there is a underspend, and in others there was an overspend. So when you said there's 5,000 underspend, was that overall, or was that in the one budget related
It's a
to?
one budget line.
Okay, so all the other budgets, will it just get fired from one, you know, the overspend on the Christmas trees, that will come fired across from the underspend on the others?
I'm trying to remember what we've resolved about that, as to whether it was coming from, the extra was coming from general reserves. I've got a feeling that the Christmas trees one, it was agreed it would come from general reserves.
Okay.
I think I agree.
So the top item that he mentions, the underspend, the toilets day-to-day budget will have 7,000 remaining in it. Where will that go? I mean, I'm hoping that can be maybe towards the expensive toilets. You know, I don't want us to lose anything, that's all I'm saying. So it won't disappear, will it?
It will disappear unless
Yes.
you decide to do something else with it. It will
Okay.
disappear.
Okay, and we don't really want that
Right,
to happen.
no.
do we?
No.
I wasn't sure actually when that was when we got to the end of the financial year, and that the money then would be spent up to April.
That's
So
right.
yes, I wasn't clear about.
But it doesn't say here, even assuming an expensive February, March, we're still going to have an underspend.
Mm.
So there is some money there that we should.
So how it works, Jenny, normally is that it goes, they tell you at the end of the financial year what's left. You then choose to either give it back to the council into general coffers, or you put it as an earmarked reserve towards something else.
And that my question really is, when do we do that?
Well, you do it
At the
like
end?
at the end of the budget, financial budget, or you can decide to discuss it now, and then
This
obviously.
is what I'm asking, does that, you know, because it's the toilet budget underspend, can it go direct to?
It can, and this is your last opportunity as a committee, because you don't meet again this financial year. So this is your last opportunity as a committee to make those kinds of
Okay.
resolutions.
Okay, well,
So can I propose that?
But hang on there,
Okay.
they haven't agreed to spend any money
no,
on the
no,
toilet
it's okay.
yet.
Yeah, okay. So, Trish.
On Rich's report, it says the RFO notes that the committee has previously considered varying money to essentially cover its overspend, which is what we were talking about, varying money from one pot to another. Advice from Realtas would be not to do this because it may be seen to be trying to hide an overspend and thus be lacking transparency. So we're not varying things from one thing to
No.
another.
No, but you can look at your underspend
Yes.
And earmark it for something?
and earmark it, but it must have a purpose. We've had these discussions before, haven't we, at
Yes.
F&M meetings.
Yeah.
If you're going to create an earmark, then it needs to have a purpose and preferably a sort of lifespan as well, so that you can see, you know, how long it's going to be there for. You know, when you're going to spend it by.
Okay, right.
I say preferably, but you know, it's certainly got to have a purpose.
Okay, right. Well, I've not prepared this at all in terms of thinking about what that should be used for. I suppose because it's an underspend on the toilets, I'm thinking it can go towards the toilets. So I propose that any underspend goes directly to the toilet budget.
Toilet repairs.
So I propose that.
You have a second?
I can second it.
Okay, those in favour of already deciding that the underspend should go towards toilet maintenance and improvements? Yep.
That's 9.
Those against? Those abstaining?
So that's carried.
Okay. terms. Were you going to speak about something? Just what you said. All right.
So while you're looking at the budget, I know it could come into the later item if you wanted, but whilst it's budget related, do you want to look at the seats and shelters one and the possible underspend there?
Is that 5,000?
We talked about that.
It kind of fits better into here because it's budget related. It'll be easier for Rich to pick it up if you like.
Do you want me to say something? Yeah. So in terms of the Hay Edge one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So in terms of we talked before about the Hay Edge shelter roof, that it's fairly frequently being repaired. I had another call a few weeks ago saying it was leaking again, and each time we asked John to go out, he patches it up, and he says, look, really, it's, you know, and his view is, you know, the timbers inside are pretty rotten now, it's hard to screw into them. As we know, the design of the thing was, you know, needs dealing with. We've asked John to give us a quote, because he has an idea as to how it could be improved. There's a couple of ideas he's got. But I'm also conscious that we should look further afield in terms of other possible quotes for it. That's both the design, an alternative design, and also, you know, doing the work. And of course, we were in touch with a small number of roofing contractors for the toilet block.
Yep.
So we've already got a short list in a sense. So I think my view is, you know, we put the word out there, get some quotes, get some ideas and quotes, and then take it from there.
Can I also say that I just did a bit of research about green roofs, because we had mentioned that before, and I've sent out 3 requests to local green roof companies, one in Otley, one in Glossop, and one in Manchester, just to see what the price would be to actually redesign it and put a green roof on, but I haven't had any replies yet.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because I think it's
The green roof is in living grass on the roof.
yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Like a live roof.
Yeah.
You can't grow knotweed at Aid Edge. Are you sure you'll be able to grow some grass? in the best case,
A cedar
very high
roof.
up. Very high up at Aid Edge.
No, the cedar roofs that I was looking at were grown in Ireland, and they were saying that if you can survive, you know, the Arctic spray and whatnot, then you'll be, you know, they're tough. So we'll find out. I don't know. But it was something that we talked about before, and I thought I'd just see it through because, you know, we were talking about it for the omnibus shelter as well, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, right.
So is that
So
something
the
you want to
underspend, we need to make a proposal to keep it for bus shelter, don't we? So can I propose that the underspend goes towards a particular function, which is repairing the bus shelter? Who would second that? Okay, and then all those in agreement? Donald?
Donald, do you
Are you against?
Donald, do you agree that we need to repair the bus shelter at Aid Edge?
Just depends how wide, I haven't seen it, I can't
Well, it's
comment.
it's knackered.
It's knackered, is it?
Yeah.
With a capital K?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case then, yeah.
Yeah. So is that an agreement?
Yeah, if that's what it's
So
takes.
what happens next?
I want a price, by the way.
We're asking for 3 prices.
Well,
We've discussed that.
so we had a 3, well, I think we'll get 3
That's
tenders,
right, yeah.
So what happens next then is I'll put in the minutes for both of those that you're recommending to full council that any underspend in those budgets at the end of this financial year goes into EMRs, one for the toilet project and the other one for repairs to Hay Edge shelter.
We've already identified the EMR for it.
Yes,
So
it'll be.
Yeah. Just gives a bit more.
We know idea.
Right, okay. The next item is the grant evaluation which we've all read. Do we need to do anything in particular?
I can report a little bit more if that's useful, and then it's about just receiving them really and considering any other action you want to take. So one of the learning points for me regarding this is you'll have noticed that we've got 1, 2, 3 examples of grant recipients who didn't get the proof of public liability insurance in. And my view is that next year the proof of insurance has to be provided with the application. No ifs and no buts. Because if you like, what really happened is we gave them the benefit of the doubt that they would get that information to us, and in spite of being emailed several times, that they failed to do it. So that's certainly a learning point for me. I've chased up the evaluations from Home First Christmas Team, Rockin, Royal Oak and Clovier's Arms. I did get a response from the Home First Christmas Team just at the end of last week, which basically saying they're waiting for all their end of year accounts to be compiled before they want to do an evaluation for us. So their evaluation, they have said it will definitely get to us for your June meeting, and apologies that it's not been received yet. But they didn't want to do the evaluation until they've had their full accounts done. So that's from Home for the Christmas Team. I did not get, yet to have a response from either the Rockin, which if you remember does get a rolling grant, the Royal Oak, which gets a rolling grant, and then the Cloviers as well. An action for me will be to have a supplier for trees. If you remember, the supply we had this year, we've used up their supply of bigger trees this year, so then they're not likely to be able to provide us next year. So we'll have to look for a new supplier again, and a price for consideration at the meeting on the 21st of September. And then I'm going to amend the application form as well to say that proof of insurance must be submitted with the application. One of the actions you gave me was for the 2 grant recipients in Netherdown to tell them that it's likely going forward that only 1 tree would be given, and therefore any suggestions they've got for how that might look going forward would be welcomed. Not heard from either of them regarding that. I would just remind the committee that you are committed to funding Netherdown Community Partnership as a rolling grant, whereas the Clovier's Arm one that you've given was not a rolling grant.
Chair, we do have a local Christmas tree supplier in Oldfirth, because I got one for Edge School from Utterley Lane. They grow in the valley. I don't know if you know what that farm is called. I don't know.
There are a few, Joe, actually, because I went looking before Dimmer found the one in Upperthorne. So there are a few people about. I don't think we should panic about what we have to find.
No, if anyone has got details, if they want to let me have them, that would be really helpful.
Utterley Lane. Oh, past Tinkers Lane.
Right, is that okay then? Oh,
So-
sorry.
So I think in terms of the evaluations, if people have got any comments on the evaluations that have been included, but certainly we'll note them in the minutes.
Okay.
Just on the grant evaluation forms, in F&M we've discontinued the practice of actually having the evaluations as part of the papers, and just have the reference to where they are, where they can be found on the website. I just wondered if perhaps we should
Just makes it
doing
easier.
that. Perhaps it's just a little bit less work, isn't it? And we can all see them. I mean, they're very pretty, but I'm not sure that they actually need to be in the papers.
Am I allowed to comment on the whole Clovier's Marathon Community Partnership or not?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No, well, to be honest, Harry, I have a comment about it as well, and, yeah.
Well, because
But
I'm
he's
chairman.
part of the group though, so
Yeah, I'm
it's not.
chairman, so I'll stay out.
Can you have you can have an opinion.
You can have an opinion, you can't vote.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
Can I speak?
yes, you can.
Well, my point is, one of them's a business and one of them's a charity.
Yeah.
If I was able to vote, I would favour the charity over. Is that too far?
Yeah.
I'll take that back.
Okay.
I'll take it back.
It
Apologies.
is,
It's not okay though.
it is difficult,
sorry.
it is difficult though, because the Rock and the Royal Oak are businesses, but they are the hub of Christmas carols and
Yeah.
brass bands and stuff. My comment, Harry, about another time would be there's two Christmas trees really close to each other,
Yeah.
and one looks really nice in the churchyard, and the other one is shoved behind the bins. It's not actually a very
Yeah.
good position, is it? So, you know, I think I know which one I would prefer, but yeah, your comment is fine. Yeah, but it is difficult if you're doing community focus, that
Yeah.
it might end up being in a pub car
Yeah.
park or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Right. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably too early, but I mean, you can make decisions now about what you want to do with these trees next year. So in terms of, you know, you've got more or less established now where these village trees are going. So, but that's up to you.
I think from my point of view, Harry, that the only anomaly was Neverthon. I think everything else was quite fine. Yeah. Has anyone got any feelings about any of them being in the wrong spot or a waste of money or
Well,
anything like that?
I mean, in case of another thing, it is ludicrous that there are two within 50 yards.
I don't know how it happened. Actually. Anyway.
Accident of birth.
I can say exactly how it happened, because in the first year of doing this, we advertised in sort of publicised and said anyone can apply, as it were, or we encourage community groups to apply, and obviously that did include pubs as well. And in the first year, I think there was excess money that we were trying to spend, and that's why we that's how the Cloviers ended up getting free.
We received their request and just sort of held it for the moment until we realised we did actually have enough budget
Yes,
to
I
use them,
remember.
and then just agreed it.
Yeah. And the closest is community owned pub. So yeah. Right.
Can I just make a comment? It's not about the location so much. Am I right in thinking that we actually overspent this particular budget?
We did.
So my comment would be more about it may be we need to take a fairly hard view of the amounts that are being requested, and just because we say it's up to X amount doesn't mean, and they ask for that X amount doesn't mean we have to give it all. So I think we should stay within budget.
Yeah.
You know, so the model is fine and the
But cut your-
locations on the
cut
whole
your
are
cloth.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Can I just say, to cut some cloth with £20 for removal of the Christmas trees? As a personal by the Scouts, the same organisation, I was charged less than the £20 that they charged the parish council.
But you for one tree, they did it. Or,
It's the size of the trees, Jenny.
This was for any size tree, but just let's make sure of that when we're costing it next year,
Yeah, well, it's a difficult one with the Scouts, but I mean, it is the size of the tree. I mean, I know they do the tree collection, because they
Yes.
collect our trees as
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
you know,
Yes, I tell you, forget that, yes.
I mean, one of the things that you can do next year is when we know how much the trees that we source for the different people we provide, how much they're going to cost, how much it's going to cost to remove and dispose of them as well. That might then be the budget that you want to give all, and you might want to revise those rolling grants you've already agreed. You know, I mean, you have that discretion, so that everyone gets exactly the same, and it's no more, no less in the cost of purchasing a tree on behalf of people in collecting it. If that makes sense.
and that's something we've discussed in September. Yeah. Okay. Right. Assets maintained by Home Body Parish Council. This is a maintenance contractors report and correspondence from Home for Business Together.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do something slightly different today, partly because I've got lots to report to you about benches, and because there are quite a few actions and motions you might be considering to do with the shelters as well. So in this item, really, I'm thinking you're just receiving John's report. If you've got any comments you want to make specific to that report, to feedback to John, then that would fit in here. But the actual discussion, if you like, of particular kinds of assets, whether it's the toilets, the benches, the shelters and so on, everything has got its own individual item today. In fact, that's why I'm trying that particular approach with this agenda, because I thought it would end up, if all of that went into one item, you'd end up with quite a confusing mishmash of things. So it seemed better to separate it all out today. I hope that makes sense. The only thing in addition to John's report, he did send me this on Friday, I think it was. It just sort of does show some of the horrible situations they find themselves in the toilets. So you can use that, if you like, as a little bit of an appendix to his report this time.
No, we are aware of certain people who respond.
See, closed them in Penistone. Penistone closed their public toilets because of stuff like this. Saved them a fortune.
The fact that John's only said this now, I mean, I don't think that does happen a lot.
No, it doesn't, no.
So, yeah, I mean,
I think the horror stories are quite small,
yes.
but they do tell us some of the horror stories about how people look after toilets.
That's nothing to do with the toilets themselves. That's to do with the way that you bring the children up.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
behaviour. Nothing to do with
I
toilets.
think
Well,
it's more
there are some
adults than
examples,
children.
Hmm?
I think it's more adults than
Well, it was
children.
school holiday week.
That's true. And it does happen in schools.
Well, Alison said to me that sometimes you have just some people who've got strange sort of behavioural problems who are adults who do strange things in toilets. But they are
I've heard say it's only, yes.
You'd have those problems in pub toilets as well as and restaurant toilets as well as public
You
toilets.
do.
They do.
Works toilets, people, people aren't very kind to them. Right.
Can I just ask about John's report now? That's where we are. You know, I was concerned about how damp it was and how much the major leaks in the loft and
Yes.
such like was a bit of a cause for concern to me. Do we know?
Yeah, my first question to him was, that's not to do with the new roof, is it? And it isn't. It isn't. What he said it's just been about the extreme temperatures we've had more than
Okay.
anything else. which
So it is a
also-
problem that needs addressing there, isn't it?
It's condensation is a huge problem still
Yes.
in there, and if you don't have proper ventilation and whatnot, it won't get any better. And it's what makes the paint peel and everything.
Okay, yes, okay, right. So, but that's going to be addressed later.
And then some of the leaks are just open, aren't they? Some of the ongoing bits and bobs.
Corrosive taps and all kinds of things
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
A cause for concern.
No, it's getting a bit wobbly. I'm sorry, I have to ask you this. I didn't read the correspondence from Home for Business Together.
Right, so
What was that? I overlooked that.
I didn't see it in the papers
No,
either.
I didn't read it.
It's about the lack of baby
Right.
changing facilities
Yes.
in the
Oh,
town.
yeah.
Oh, it's the
Yes.
general
Yes.
one, yeah.
It was from one
yeah.
Yes,
One
one individual.
company within
One
the town.
company within the town.
Yes.
Right.
I work with British Law solicitors on the issue of toilets. I've had numerous comments about the lack of baby change facilities in the main town from clients. I have family members who have also struggled with this, and it does put them off visiting. They walked all the way back to the co-op with a just walking young toddler on an event day to find their toilets closed and couldn't find any baby change facility. I have had family and clients change babies on my desk as a result, but I know it was a big issue for family when I was not around and this option was not available. As a town marketed as family friendly, some facility would be helpful.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah.
I I mean, if the civic is, if they come during the week and the civic is open, civic hall is open, of course, there is a baby changing facility in the disabled toilet.
But you wouldn't head to the civic if you were visiting the town centre.
No, you've got no way of knowing that the civic's
Out of the
open.
library as well.
Mm.
But maybe
That's
we
what the
should,
library's not.
maybe we should be putting this out on the civic, the parish council website
About facilities.
about facilities. And maybe that's something that the assistant clerk could look at with the assistance of councillors.
I think Councillor Ransby's idea is a very good one, because at the end of the day, I appreciate that there is a drive to refurbish the toilets and do work in the toilets, but at the end of the day, you know, where is this money coming from? So while we're deciding what we're going to do and costing it up and putting a solution in, we do need to advertise what facilities are where, good disabled facilities, good baby changing facilities. The facilities are in the valley, and the building, if the public know that the facilities are in this building and other public buildings like the library, then they're more likely to visit them and use them, and that's what we want.
Except that not always open.
No.
You know, that's the problem, isn't it? You can go to the library in the morning and it doesn't open till 1 o'clock, you know, so you can't get in and, you know, disturb the civic. So, but I agree with that principle, Steve, about just saying where the facilities are available.
It could be on our notice board outside as well.
Yes.
The civic.
The
Yeah.
co-op one was shut whilst they were refurbishing.
Yeah.
So, but that's now open.
Yeah.
Can I also say we should be talking about Honley as well as Home Firth here, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so we're focusing on Home Firth, but you know, we
There
should be
is-
thinking about, are there facilities
Yeah.
in Honley? And where are they? So if we're advertising.
Oh, sorry? No.
So there aren't any public toilets opening on there anymore, are there?
No, it's an estate agent.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's even bigger, isn't it?
Is there a notice board attached to the outside building?
What, sorry?
A notice board, is it worth
There is a
putting in there
notice board, yeah.
where everything is and saying that we have baby
Yeah.
changing things here?
Yeah.
And that type of thing.
Yeah, put that down as an action for
Yeah.
us to add.
Yeah, no, public information is good.
Chair, can I just suggest it could go onto the interactive, make it your Home Firth map as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's on there. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
So we could make that
Who would
approach.
do that?
Contact Redback in the first instance.
Yes.
Right.
It's back at Redback, she's done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, anything else? No, I think we will just move on to the public toilet development, which I'm so sorry, but Matt, the architect, is going to come and show some drawings and talk about costings, and we don't know where he's gone. But he has drawn up some feasibility studies for variations and to improve the toilets and a rough costing, and he was going to come and talk to us about that.
Everyone has had the documentation about it.
Yes.
But he was going to just add a bit more to the discussion, so yeah, I apologise on his behalf, I don't know what's happened. The cost of the renovation is very large. We need to have a think about whether you can do it in phases, whether we can find some grant money. I've actually been looking at some grants for disabled toilets and whatnot, and it's very hard to find monies available. A lot of the grants that I looked at, their funding had closed. The only thing I found was discretionary relief against business rates, which isn't relevant at all. That's still ongoing. But my thoughts on it were that Home Firth has a town fund which has money in it, because they're developing a blueprint, and I wondered whether it was worth looking at that, because it might be that they would absorb the improvement of the toilets into a scheme, because they're looking at the turning circle, the buses and all the parking and stuff around there. So that was my thought, and the other thought was that Home Firth businesses have said collectively, and then obviously that one example of the is it a solicitor?
Yeah.
Yeah. That they're concerned that if you don't have a good public toilet, it reflects badly on the businesses in Home Firth. So I think I would quite like to ask the businesses to back a push to get the toilets up to speed. So, those are my thoughts on that at the moment. I mean, I think it's a very important thing. And when you mention that Holly hasn't got public toilets, you just think that they are the only public toilets apart from home village toilets in the home valley. Sorry, Joe.
So my thoughts about this is that it's very expensive, like ridiculously expensive. Like I've built a house cheaper than this costing. I'm happy to submit the costings of the build that I did for the amount of money that this is going to spend. And to be honest, like looking at it, there is an income to come from the Garside building with options, and we've just got no money. And if you're going to ask the council at Kirklees to contribute to that, then that's a different matter. But asking the people of Home Firth again to put a precept up to cover the cost of the toilets, I just don't think it's really justifiable. There's no money. The cost is ridiculous, right? Like, genuinely is ridiculous. I'm married to a builder, and I just don't see where it's coming from.
Can I just add, though, that the standard cost for a changing places unit is £60,000. So I don't, to actually have a toilet facility at that price, and also Matt said he's worked in the NHS and he's overpricing. He doesn't want people to be disappointed, so he's been quite generous with the quotations. But if it costs £60,000 to make one changing place toilet, it will cost more to do several facilities. So yeah.
I've had an estimate, this was some months ago, for a downstairs loo put in, and that was £50,000.
Have they got to it?
No, yeah, I think what you're not getting is building work is becoming increasingly expensive by the month, as far as
Well,
I'm
actually,
concerned.
it's fallen. Building materials have fallen. Like installation's half price this week from last week, so that information is not correct.
To save money, what did the architect not say that in the plans for the Civic we would need a changing places toilet?
Well, it was mooted, but it wasn't obligatory for them in the visioning for the Civic. And then we were also mentioning that maybe a changing places place is more appropriate in the town centre rather than in a public building. But it's to be discussed, you know. But I'm just saying, all I was saying was it costs £60,000 to put in a changing places toilet.
Yeah.
So wherever you put it, in here or in the centre.
My view on it is if we have the money from,
Kirklees.
I was going to say, a loan charity helping us with the renovations of the Civic Hall, it would be better in the Civic Hall and having more space in the toilets.
Yeah, no, that's a point of view.
There
Yeah.
are currently 5 changing places in Huddersfield's immediate area.
Yeah,
in the
no, I
centre.
had a look myself actually.
So I don't think that we need 2 in Home Firth.
No, there wouldn't be 2.
No, but I'm saying
There wouldn't be 2. No.
I would favour it being in the Civic over
Okay.
toilets to save, well not save money, but it would be in the pot with the
No,
Civic.
that's
rather
fine.
than
No,
factoring
I
that
wasn't
into that.
actually promoting that as a solution. I'm just
No.
was quoting the price.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
And also thinking about usage of people who might want to use them, would it be better to have it in the central bit of Home Firth, or would it be better to have it in a public building, which is, I think I'm right in saying, open Monday to Friday during the day, and then so it would be, they would be able to use it then, and it would also have the added bonus because the toilets that are central in Home Firth are closed during the evening,
Yes.
whereas here it's not open every evening, but it's open most evenings for different events that are on.
And going forward, we want to use this building more.
More, absolutely. So
I worried about having a cafe. Do you know, like on a week, there was
Yes.
a cafe going downstairs, so that'll be open more. And,
yeah.
and we own this building, and although the building is really tired, it's not in a state where we're having to refurbish to that level. Do you know what I mean? We can use that lettable space to bring income in to help refurbish it slowly, but that's a lot of money.
Okay, right, no. Do you want to say another thing, Harry?
I was just saying, I think the idea of improving here would bring more traffic into this building, and then more people might want to use this building going forward.
Yeah,
Bring more income into this building
okay,
and what we're doing.
okay. Lawrence?
It's, well, I'll let Jenny go because it's slightly separate perhaps.
Right.
Okay,
To
well
the
really,
stream of
I was
conversation.
going to say how important I think the big toilets are, because Humford is known as a festival town, and those are the toilets that festival goers, food and drinking, we are having more and more festivals in Humford, and so good public toilets really matter to encourage that. And I know you said, Lawrence, how this is the economic development of Humford, and the festivals bring that in. So we've got to provide a good facility. And
Studies
we've got to
show-
be realistic
Studies
about
show that it
how
works.
expensive it costs. It's more expensive than I'd like it to be,
Absolutely.
but I think we've got to be realistic, and I think we've got to we want to have provision that we're proud of in Humber, and it is in need of repair. That's
Where
for
are you going
sure.
to get the money from?
Well, I think we've got to try. We're trying
contractors,
to find various grants. I know, Glenn, you've looked at how you'd raise money through for the Conley Village Hall through, and so I think we've got to find people who are good at finding the money for something that we think is worthwhile.
Yeah. Okay, Donald, yeah.
Can I just say, it isn't 100 years old, that building. It's probably in the region of being 20 odd years old, something like that, because I opened it when it was new. And why should the roof be, I haven't seen the roof, if it's so bad, why is it so bad?
It's been mended because it hasn't been maintained since it was opened.
It's the condensation.
Well, I live in a house that's 200 years old and I haven't maintained the roof and it isn't leaking. So come on, you know, this toilet,
It's done, Donald.
they were brand spanking new, built by a local builder, and I opened them one Tuesday afternoon, I think, in summer.
Can I just say this is irrelevant to the present?
This is irrelevant.
It is
It's all we're
irrelevant to the
talking
present
about the
discussion,
building,
talking
aren't
about
we?
20
Not
years
the-
in the past.
Right.
Now, for the future, I do note from reading the minutes that Godalming Town Council got an 80% grant towards theirs from the Levelling Up Communities. The suggestion that the funding be supported by external funding to build a proper building, lasting with proper facilities, meeting all the needs. Jenny's comment just now about the festival town
Yeah.
and having something central so people aren't traipsing quarter of a mile to find toilets, then we should maybe keep it on the agenda
Yeah, no,
and
it
look
has to
at
stay on the
finding
agenda. And
some
how-
money to support it.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is kind of linked to it, but you just raised the point about Kirklees' the blueprint, the blueprint.
Yeah.
And we understand that this is that area, Towngate area, is the
It's
next
going to be developed.
phase.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anything firm on that. We understand that there is money in the budget for next year for that. So can I propose that we write to Kirklees and express not our concern, our interest
Yes.
in where this is going, and to be kept informed
Yes.
of developments.
No, I think that's a good idea. I will second that. Do we all agree that that's a good proposal? To write to Kirklees?
Yeah, right, Kirkland, isn't it? You can get anywhere.
I'm going to keep exploring all of the funding possibilities as well.
Yeah.
It'll be condensation.
Right, so just to sum up, I think what you're saying is that monies available certainly for 2026, 27 aren't sufficient to be able to greenlight this phase of the project. Now, I do understand. I believe the Land Charity has been approached and is not keen to assist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got choices you can make. You can put the project on hold. You can look to build up sufficient funds over a number of years. You've got an EMR of £10,000 for the next year. You can think about, and it doesn't have to be decided at this meeting by any means, how you can make use of that £10,000 to take the project further.
Mm.
You know, but what you can't do is green light it at the moment.
No, but we can keep that £10,000 secured against the project.
Alison, I suggest that you take up Martin's suggestion and find somebody who got a levelling up grant to help you find a grant, because I'm not saying that you're weaning the wind with this, but I imagine you might be weaning the wind. So you
Yeah,
might
no,
need
that
to-
was just one suggestion, but all the other ones, like Martin's suggestion, that we're looking at. But I say a lot of them, they sound great, and you look at them and they're closed. You know, some of those levelling up things aren't there anymore. Yeah, I mean, Syward has got a changing places unit in its Civic Hall, because it was there at the right time to get some money from, I think it might have been a levelling up fund actually, I'm not sure.
When we had the talk about the Civic, and the architect came, he brought a fundraising woman with him, didn't he? Who was quite confident, seemed to me, that she could raise funds for such projects. That's what she does for a living.
Yeah.
And it seems to me
I'll
that,
just say that I've been in touch with her about the toilets.
Yes.
I've been in touch with her about the Civic, and she's quite positive about the Civic.
yes,
She says it would be harder
yes,
to raise money for the toilets than it would be for the Civic, even though it's significantly less money. It's what the people who give money benefit from it.
Prioritise,
You know,
yes.
so I've tried that one.
Can we
but
ask the lottery fund something? You know, the lottery grant.
I've got it on the list.
I think we just
but it's,
agree to keep
yeah,
researching.
we'll keep looking.
Yes.
We're not giving up on this. We've got
Yeah.
the £10,000 and we're going to keep
Put
pursuing this.
7,000 earmark.
And we've got the other bit.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got the other bit from the reserve. So we'll just have to keep plugging
Keep
away
plugging,
and seeing
yeah.
what we can find, because I think it's still worth pursuing. Right.
Jenny's worried.
I'm just wondering, I'm thinking your next meeting's not till June, whether you want to allocate some of that £10,000 to see if you can appoint someone who can apply for grants on your behalf.
We've talked about that.
Yeah,
haven't we?
Yeah,
Our
well,
working group.
I put out a quick feeler. I said I contacted him properly after this meeting because we were going to get an update on costs and everything else.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's not here to do that. So.
Can I suggest that you do an earmark reserve till 2028 or 27, so you've got 12 months to find a solution for your toilet, because you can have it as the toilet project fund. You can have it as you could put it as an earmark reserve for toilet refurbishment
Right.
for 12 months, and then you've reserved it then, haven't you, into the next financial year.
Is that a recommendation that's...
So you've got that EMR in the next.
It's not going to go, is it?
It's in the next financial year's budget.
Yeah.
You've got it.
But you've got to put a time frame on it, haven't you? You haven't put a time frame on it.
But it's the financial year, isn't it?
It's in the financial year, but I mean, obviously, £10,000 doesn't let you green light this project.
No.
So
No.
it's what are you going to use that £10,000 for?
Well, if you put it as a toilet project, then you can use it for whatever you want, because it's part of the toilet refurbishment project. So if you decide to get a consultant, then you can, because it's part of the toilet refurbishment project.
I mean, you can look to build up sufficient funds over a number of years. You know, that can be the purpose, but it's going to take you what 12 years plus to get to a position where you can do this work.
no,
In that case.
Some of us will have moved on.
Maybe
No,
not.
not maybe.
I would like to take up Jen's suggestion of spending some of this £10,000 on somebody who would look for funding. I mean, it's not, as a parish council, we've been really remiss in you know, we haven't looked for funding, have we? We've just been dependent on the Peace Act, and other parish councils are much more active about this, and there is, I know a lot of people don't like this idea, but there's also a possibility of public sector loans as well. I mean, there's a
There
lot
are
we
more
could
ways to do
explore.
this.
There are
Yes.
more ways to do this, and most of us are fairly ignorant about that. So I think using a proportion of that to fund somebody, which is a professional fundraiser, I think would be the way to go.
Can I second Councillor
Yeah.
Blacker's suggestion that
Do we need to make that as a motion about
You would need to basically state the motion and you need to specify what you're looking at expenditure up to.
Oh, for goodness sake, we don't know though, do we?
Can we say half of that sum to get the specialist to advise us on funding and sources of funding?
Sorry, Steve, say that again, I've got distracted.
Half of the earmark reserve
$3.
to be used to
For a funding
to
specialist.
seek advice on other sources of funding that may be available for the toilet block works.
Yeah,
Would you go with that, Glenn? Knowing what you did
Yeah,
about the village hall?
yeah. I think the only thing we have to be mindful of is that a lot of the time, if you're applying for a funding to build a £120,000 building, you're not going to be able to apply for that funding unless you've got planning permission to do it. So you're going to have to go so far down the route
Sorry?
to be able to.
Excuse me, Glenn's speaking.
I think you're going to have to go so far down the route of trying to get planning permission to say we're going to, because lottery's not going to give you £120,000 if you haven't got planning permission to do it. They're only going to do it once you've got planning permission. So I think this is why it would have been good to have a guy here tonight, because he would have given us more of an oversight. There's probably an amount of money you need to spend to get you to the point where you could even apply for grants to get the whole thing done. And that would be going down the planning permission route with the drawings and everything else.
Right.
But we need to know whether we can, if we state that we need to get planning permission as a sort of fact,
Yes. We need
what
the advice
sort
on
of
that permission.
sums of money can we get 50,000 from here or 70%?
So we can certainly put some feelers out.
Yeah.
Get in
Yeah, no,
touch
we
with
need to
people.
investigate this more, actually,
Yeah.
but I think the proposal to put a sum from the £10,000 into this, the project, I think.
Can I just say that internally you don't need planning permission, it's only if you're changing the external of the building and the building is already there. So for planning permission, you don't
Well,
need to change for internal.
There were a couple of external things on the drawings, actually, a window
Yeah.
and the front face a little bit. So I think we
I mean,
might.
you could well be right, we might
No,
not,
you don't
but I
for
don't think,
Yeah.
internals, but
I
what
don't
you
think
can-
we've got.
We need to be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could take planners' advice, couldn't you? You could go and make a meeting and take councillor Ransford and ask them for pre-application advice, and they give you a good indication
Yeah.
without having to actually fully submit planning.
And sadly, because Matt isn't here, he would be also telling us that, because he had talked about the need for planning applications and things like that, so, yeah. So, can we leave it like that for now?
Yeah.
Is that are you sure enough step forward, or is it too
You,
vague?
you need to make up your mind whether you're going to go forward with Mary's motion. But the other thing you can do is just defer this to your June meeting and see if you can get
Have
the
more stuff.
architect to come in and speak. Because some of the things Glenn's just been talking about, you need the architect here, it seems to me, to guide you.
Yeah.
I think I, for one, would propose deferring to June, because we also have to do a lot more homework before we get there. So that would be my decision. Does everyone agree with that?
That's fine, I'm happy to withdraw the motion. But say, is the group that is the toilet group at the moment, is it exists, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's doing a lot of work, and it's
Yeah.
a strong group, yeah.
Yeah. So, do we have to vote on that, or is it,
You can just, I've just put down that it's deferred to June.
okay, we're happy with that.
The 3-month delay is not going to.
A 3 months delay while we really have a good think about it. Yeah.
And make sure that that's for the next meeting. Yeah, but with a reminder, you know, that.
There's always the
Should be multiplied, actually, I've forgotten.
if you can find.
So, the next bit is to link to the public toilet, because it's about a couple of options for the Gartside unit, lettable space.
You've got
I
the.
missed a bit. Oh, sorry, a temporary sign.
Yeah.
Sorry, a temporary sign that we talked about. A temporary sign to publicise Home Folk Festival. To consider with regards to the request, is it okay to put it on the public toilets? I think it is, because I think it's promoting an event, not advertising, but what do you think?
Is it not? advertising, so it needs, as Joe said.
Right, I think it's a promotional one, is it? It's not advertising.
I mean, if you look at round the town, there's so much,
Make it home first, make it your home
Well,
first. Yeah.
comedy club and all the rest of it. None of those have planning permission.
No.
And I think putting a banner up for the duration of the folk festival.
It's only like putting up a flag.
It's not a banner, it's a freebie piece, and it is going to be more than 28 days.
Oh.
You know that already from,
I've forgotten. It's the one, yes, it's the molded one, isn't it?
yeah. So,
You will need planning permission for that.
so he says he's looking to install it as soon as possible in March to be removed on May the 12th, so that's certainly more than 28
Yeah.
days.
Right. So, sorry, I take that back now. I think
He's
we
not
have to
going.
do.
He's not going to get planning permission in time if he wants to install it before the end of March.
You could go and ask pre-app advice, and if you had in writing that they didn't need planning permission, then you're home and dry, but you can't actively
Can't say yes.
yes, because the thing is that then you're encouraging people to do what they want in the other valley, and you can't whinge about one and not about the other.
Okay. Yes, you.
And could the licence, if we can't get planning permission, it could then be stopped for less than 28 days.
Yes. So even though it's a solid piece, it's like the heron. It can
Yes.
just be there for 28 days.
And I think he would call it a work of art as well, you know, that
Right.
it is like, it's advertising, but it is an artistic endeavour.
Okay.
And, you know, so I'd say that he could have it up for the 28 days prior to the festival.
Count back from the 15th of May.
If someone wants to propose that, you've got Councillor Davies first of all.
I was going to say, are we applying for planning, or is he just not to pay?
He would have to
Yeah.
apply.
You can have pre-app advice for free.
Or, well, there's two options. He applies for planning, or he decides to do it for 28 days,
Well,
going counting backwards from the 15th of May.
can I suggest we write to him to ask him to go for pre-application advice as to
Okay.
whether he needs planning application. And if he does,
He's not going to get it in time.
he's not going to get it in
And
time.
so it would have to be option B.
So then I think he has to then seek another way of doing it.
Okay.
And I think we leave that to his imagination
Okay.
without offering advice in public.
Martin?
Well, it's just really embroidering, but the actual letter that came to us, the email, it does say he's not part of the festival committee, he does it voluntary off his own back. So the thought of cost involved might be off-putting, so maybe it up to 28 days would be the way around.
Councillor Rostron, it's free to ask for pre-app advice.
Right.
It's free, you just make an appointment and go and speak to them.
Okay. Right, so are we fine with that?
Right, so this is an action for me then. You want me to write to him and suggest that for what he seems to be suggesting in a period of time, he would need to seek pre-planning application advice as to whether a planning application is needed. The issue with the planning application would be that it wouldn't get it done in time. Do you want me to say, at the moment you've said option B is either tell him to seek another way, or perhaps tell him you can have something on display for up to 28 days.
Really
So you need
I
to,
think we probably leave that to his imagination and he gets advice from the planning office. Who in truth should inform him that if it's there for less than 28 days, then
It will
we'll take
come
no
with,
action.
right.
If he watches the video, he'll be able to guide what he's supposed to do. We can't legally advise him what he's supposed to do. He needs to go and ask for
So
pre-app
it's
advice.
just referring him to the.
He could
planning
always speak
office.
to an ex-planning officer. There are a number in this valley who will give him advice for free.
Okay.
But we are saying that we're happy to have, like,
Yeah, we're happy for him to do it,
for him to do it, and we did have.
as long as you don't get us into trouble.
Yeah. Okay.
right, so if you say, you're saying you're happy for him to do it, as long as it doesn't get you into trouble, that's a decision you're making. It's not just an action for me, you need to vote.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are we happy for this man to put up his art piece, having been given the requisite advice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, with that extra
Yeah, that's it.
He needs to watch the video.
Right, okay. Now we're on to the Gartside unit, the lettable space. Two suggestions. Well, there's three actually.
Yeah, because can I just apologise, because I missed that the reason you had the second agenda come out is because even though it was only on the Monday before the Tuesday that I sent the agenda out, that I've been in touch with Councillor Bailey. Apologies, because I just missed out what Councillor Bailey wanted on the agenda. And also, of course, we had the full council meeting where Josh Haslam from the Jam Factory Music Hall had come. So you do have three things to consider, because he spoke in public session about a third inquiry. Now, we did make arrangements to show Josh the Gartside unit, but we couldn't get access due to door swelling. John has now sorted that out, and I'll contact him. I'll contact Josh this week to rearrange. But you know, that's not gone ahead. There is some time sensitive stuff here, certainly with Councillor Bailey's proposal, which I'm sure he'll talk to in a moment. But yeah, you haven't got the full picture, unfortunately, because Josh hasn't seen the unit to know whether it be suitable for what he wants or not.
So that's a pending thing, if you don't know whether he thinks it's useful or not. But then we've got the milk machine thing.
Yes.
And we've got the heritage group. I have to say, we've also got a changing spaces. It should be on that list as well, even though, you know, we've not decided.
We can wait for all the other businesses to have folded up and retired. It'll be fine.
So, right. How do we discuss this then? Do you want to talk about your heritage group?
Well, if you don't mind, I mean, I declared an interest at the start, so I won't vote on it. But can I just say that it's not a, you know, the interest is because I'm on the tourism partnership on behalf of the parish council. So if you don't mind, I will speak to this report, but not vote, if that's okay. And I'll just summarise what's in this proposal paper for those of you who've read it in detail but since forgotten what the details were. Basically, the idea of a heritage centre has been kicking around since time immemorial, basically. And we are at an interesting point at the moment for a lot of the reasons that I've given in this paper. Partly because of all that happened in the Heritage Week last September and the response, and we're putting on another of those which will be bigger and better this coming September. Partly because of some of the developments that are around in terms of potential buildings elsewhere that may in the future be heritage centre, the partnerships between some of the different organisations. So there's a lot going on. The proposal here is not that full-on heritage centre. No one's pretending that it is. It's a stepping stone towards it. And it's, if I can just describe it as a kind of concept, if you like, that our heritage and our assets are about what's around in the whole valley. It's not one single thing in one single building. So it's about the mills and Digley Reservoir and, you know, just a whole load of things, the stone walls that are out there and everything else. But, you know, there's a load that represent, if you like, that heritage. And what we'd like to do really is to represent those in some way. We can do that digitally, we can do it with the website, and we are developing that website to say what's around, what people can reach and so on. This is about having a hub in the centre of Home Firth that people can access and then be pointed, you know, inspired and pointed in the direction of things that are around, giving some basic information. Can also say it's not just about the heritage thing, it's also about, this is about tourism. as well very much, and we know that lots of people come into Home Firth because they've heard it's a great place, and when they're here they say, yeah, but what should I go and do? What is there in the middle of Home Firth? So,
It used to be a tourism centre, what, when
well,
got canned off?
so this is somewhere that people go to, and one of the attractions actually of that unit, I'll come on to the size of the unit, because there's reservations about this, but one of the attractions of that particular location is it's smack opposite where the tourism buses drop off their passengers outside the post office. So it's about sort of directing people in there and then hopefully leading elsewhere from there. So the idea basically is to have information in there, displays and so on. We'll have a couple of screens and etc. It would not be fully staffed. It would be ridiculous to believe that we could do that. So there is some stuff that we've looked at, and I think I've talked about it in the paper, about sort of basically managing the risks rather than, you know, accepting there are risks with a place that's unstaffed. So things like CCTV, like low cost items that are in there and so on. So that's the broad principle of what it's going to be. Taking into account a couple of other things that people have raised, we're looking at this as potentially short term. This could still fit with the idea about using that unit in the future as a changing space. We all know that it's not going to happen in the next 12 months. That change space. So this could be short term. It's low cost. It can be short term. It would be used, as I say, as a stepping stone. So some of the things that we would develop, some of the materials, the resources, and so on, could be used elsewhere if it proved the concept. And broadly, you know, so that's the thinking in terms of it could go on if everyone was happy with it, if it was working, and you know there was no other competition for that particular unit into next year, it could go on to another year. But it's part of the reason why, as Jen just said, there is a timescale thing here, you know, in terms of the sooner the better. We know that Home Firth, you know, peak season for tourism in Home Firth starts with the folk festival. So we want something up and running in time for that. That's a challenge, but we could do it. There are some funding possibilities, and one thing I just want to mention here, you know, that might come up in terms of, I think, around budget and so on, is that one of the first things we go for is the Kirklees space hive funding. And what that means is that if we actually, if we or anyone else puts money into it, basically there's potential match funding from Kirklees up to another 5k. So in other words, if we decided as a parish council, I'll come back to that. If we decided as a parish council that we wanted to invest in this financially in some way, you know, there will be money coming back to the council anyway in terms of rent, but if we decided that we wanted to invest in it, that money would be which funded from Kirklees. So there are other options as well in terms of funding, but that's one thing I particularly wanted to mention. I'm sure I've got lots of things. Can I take a question from Joe?
So my question is, first of all, I appreciate the historic nature of the valley, and completely get where you're coming from, although we had a tourism thing in the library that used to be a tourism building that we've just sold, that diminished like over lots of lack of investment. And then the second thing is, we've had a company in there that had a grant for funding, and as soon as the funding ended, we were left high and dry, and we left a commercial opportunity before that would have still been there now, because that commercial business is housed somewhere else in Home Firth and going strong. So for me, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but at the end of the day, if you want to raise enough money to fix your toilets, you're going to have to go with you can give somebody a short lease, a 2-year lease, a 3-year lease, and they can still invest in that, be it music or milkshake powers or whatever. But you're saying that this is going to be a stepping stone for you, so you're not fully intending on staying in that space.
We don't know where it's going to go next.
Whereas some of these other opportunities would fit in that space and be there for as long as we require them to be there, paying a rent, not replying, not,
Well, you could also say
not waiting for a grant.
there have been retail units in there that have also closed down.
I think it's very difficult to say that one is absolutely like that and one like another. I think it's all quite variable. But, has anyone else got any questions for Lawrence? About these
So because the heritage groups got some money to invest in the building and the posters of making it an attractive.
There is some
So
money,
there's
but not
money
enough.
there.
Not enough.
So what would you want from the parish council, just to be able to have access to that?
At the moment, it's yes. And there would be rent coming back, but it would have to come out of that funding, so it's the whole thing goes around in a
It's
circle,
cyclical,
basically.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
I think I've got the picture. And, yeah,
Financially, it could be, I don't want to say too much, but it could be beneficial to parish councils. Financially.
okay, yeah. I mean, I can see a lot of positive things for it, I really can. I think the case was very well argued. But I've no idea how this competes with the milk thing, you know, that.
Yeah, no, I won't say it.
They're chalk and cheese though, aren't they?
Oh, completely.
So, we're talking about something which
I mean, I
is
can see that that's
and
worked.
encourages a bit of
Good choice of words, that.
I do agree with that statement though, that you've just made about that is encouraging tourism, because Milk on the Hills have got hundreds of vending machines, and I've got friends who come from Leeds to Home Fair, to Hoyland Swain for milkshakes. So they've got a massive following and have been re-diversification, and this is a farming valley. So I completely disagree with that statement. I think it's not appropriate.
No, I was saying it's just different elements about how.
But Milk on the Hills will bring tourism in, and there's nobody who does anything like that in the valley already, and it is a farming valley.
No, it's an interesting proposition that they've made. Yeah, Harry.
I was going to talk in favour of Milk on the Hills being from farming or working agriculture. I think they do really well in Firth, and it's not just milk, as it says on their thing. It'll be local produce from local farmers.
Yes, that's the bit I liked.
And I think
Yeah.
that'll be really good. It'll do really well there in the central hub. And I've seen their milk vending machines, and it's nothing against their heritage. My family used to own that dyers. So I'm big on the heritage in this area. But I'm also a huge supporter of farm diversification. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they'll be the third closest dairy farm to Firth.
Yeah, they are.
They're a rare thing.
Dairy
you
farms
know.
are a dying breed.
And there are vending machines that can put it in and take it out. They're offering security. They're offering, an income stream. Even if, for example, you gave them a 3-year lease, at least they know that lease will be over and they have opportunity to find something somewhere else. I just think it's a better business venture.
I have one query about it, is how it actually fits into the Garside unit.
They make them to measure.
I've seen it on the show. Unit.
I've got one little, I had a further response from the estate agent as well, because obviously what would happen in terms of unlocking in locking, because it could be possible that it would be unlocked in lock when the loos are, for example. But one of the things the estate agent got back to me and said is actually what Milk on the Hills would want is automatic locking. I don't know whether that means they would be prepared to pay for it, but they would want automatic locking so that the facility was available presumably 24 hours.
They're not all available 24 hours, but they have locking doors on mechanisms so that they're protecting their vending equipment.
It does say that they will provide all this.
Yeah.
So that's quite an investment from them, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would do very well in Firth, I believe.
Would it? And how much would they have to invest?
I don't think.
Hang on,
Thousands if it turns out.
let Glenn just say something.
Can I guess the only question I would have is, and I see where they're coming from and supporting selling local produce. Would that impact any of the businesses in Home Firth?
Well, there's no other ones that sell milkshakes.
No, I'm not thinking about milk and milkshakes. It's going to sell other produce like eggs and honey and bacon. I don't know whether or not that then would impact on other businesses.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, we say bacon, there's no butchers in the centre of Home Firth anymore.
And also, it's alright saying that, but then are we stopping up markets from coming 3 days a week? that bring duplicates of shops that are already in Unferth, if we're going to do that.
Yeah, Steve?
Have we had an indication of what their minimum lease period would want to be? Because as I see it, they're going to have to invest a fair sum of money, and I know that there's, you know, this people, it's been said that it'll bring in a lot of tourists. I'm not sure that it will bring in any extra tourists.
No,
to be
I
honest
don't
with
think
you.
it's tourist.
It would be another retail outlet. And with all due respect, I can't see that they would get enough revenue from selling milk, automated milk machines selling bottles of milk in the middle of Unferth during working hours. And as I say, they would want a return on their capital investment, and if they're going to have automatic locking doors and all the rest of it, it's going to cost a lot of money. And we already have 50 feet away from it a shop that sells milk, and that's Sainsbury's. And 300 yards away you've got the co-op, and you can get milk, I think, at GG's, BT's. There are other outlets within spitting distance that sell milk.
It's not that sort of milk though, it's flavoured milk. So
But
it's
you
a
can get
venue.
flavoured milk in the co-op.
Harry?
I would also add, I think you'd be amazed at how many people want to support a local dairy farm rather than the co-op and Sainsbury's and big business.
Oh, I'm not saying there is not a market. I do not see it bringing people in specifically to buy a bottle of milk.
Can I just say that if you follow them on Facebook, which I have to do because my children used to go to Hoggensway School when they started out 3 years ago, and when they started out 3 years ago they had one vending machine, and now they have in excess of 5 or 6, all over Yorkshire. So if that model didn't work, it's nice that they want to invest in something.
Oh, I'm not denying that. I'm saying how much they're having to invest and what they will pay, and what is their minimum lease period. Otherwise, we'll have another retail outlet that goes, it's not worked out, and then pull out. Whereas with the Heritage Centre, we know what's needed, and they can open up within a month.
But let Mary
I
speak.
think we're kind of forgetting about the fact there are three. There are three.
Yes, and there's also
possibilities.
the
And
jam
we
factory.
certainly can't make a decision today until
No.
Josh has had a look and
No.
seen whether he wants to rent that
Yeah.
space.
But it is interesting to see what the general opinion is about both options.
It's really difficult to these three completely different.
They are. I think it's
things,
two
all
attitudes.
with their positives and negatives. Yeah.
Can I say I really like the idea of this coming to Homefair, I really do, you know.
I do.
But my only concern is that I don't think it's possibly the best place for it, you know, to actually be attached to the toilets. And, you know, there are other venues, there are other places in Homefair where I think it could actually go better. I mean, you'd have to justify to me why they would want to be there. Is it because it's cheaper than other places?
Well, go on, you speak
I
first.
think it's perfect size.
Yeah, I
for
do.
vending machines. If it's anywhere else, they've got to
So-
to full building
Can I suggest
or a
that
full shop.
before you make a decision, you all visit or go and do a bit of research before you come to generic conclusions?
No. Can I?
Have they seen it, can I ask?
So I've seen one before.
No, have they? Presumably they've been and had a look at it.
My question was, they're going through Silent Glide, so they're obviously asking for a space in Homefair to do it. And has Silent Glide identified any other options? Is this the only one that's come to us? I don't know.
Simon, what I wanted to say was what Simon Blythe had said to me is they are really actively seeking somewhere in Homefair, and Simon Blythe had failed to find anything else, and really want to be able to put this forward. So, you you know, that's the situation. Simon Blythe, if you like, has put the feelers out to us, but have also, you know, Milk on the Hills, you can see from the email trail, are definitely on board with it and very interested. We're a long way to signing a lease with them. I mean, you know, let's be clear about that. But clearly, you know, Simon Blythe are you know, really interested in pursuing this on behalf of their clients.
Yeah.
Have they seen it? I mean, I know Simon Blythe knows it, but has Milk on the Hills actually seen this?
No one's seen it.
No,
Tricia, because
you
the
can't
door
in.
was thrown and we couldn't get in, which is, I must just say this, I must just say this while I've got the chance. All the stuff regarding the leaks and so forth that John put in his report, we are probably going to have to do some damage repair in the Gartside unit, and we have nothing in the budget. So one of the things I do want you to think about is making a recommendation to council for repairs up to £1,000 maybe to the Gartside unit, because you can be having all this discussion about how you might use it. At the moment, I'm not sure it's usable.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's one of the reasons why the previous renters, you know, both the retail, commercial ones and Epics, failed, you know, because it wasn't up to standard. We didn't get a window in, we didn't get the doors sorted, you know, so...
Vending machines aren't bothered about windows.
Well, I mean, if they're prepared to invest all the money in it, then...
I would recommend that you go
Yes.
to the, I've not been for years now, but you can follow them on Facebook, Milk on the Hills on Facebook. They'll show you what they've done. They've even turned an old silo into a disco for Halloween or something, and they had Christmas disco, and they sell, honestly,
I will look at them.
I think you should go, take your kids or whatever. It's really, I haven't been for years, so, but I do know that they've spent a lot of money.
Okay, Martin.
I'm just keeping an eye on the clock, and I think
Yes,
it's
I
probably time to
think
move on.
We can't.
But
We can't
with some
discuss
kind
it
of
anymore.
resolution to defer this until, I mean, we have a third applicant, and it's not that applicant's fault that we can't discuss them tonight.
No.
So,
it's to defer the decisions, having had a good thrash around about the three options.
Can I move that we bring the three options back to the next meeting?
Yes.
Second.
Except when June.
June's a long time away. Can we let Lawrence have temporary use of it for the May?
I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay.
You're either giving it or you're not giving it either. And I appreciate what you're saying, but in my view, last time we went with a charity, a grant thing, it properly backfired. It really,
We had quite a lot of money from them.
I can probably cut this conversation short because
no.
we wouldn't do it for that
A
short
short
period of time. It wouldn't be worth.
No.
There is some investment in terms of the resources, etc.
Yeah, but you did indicate
No,
that those
let's-
resources would be useful.
Yeah.
June's a long time away.
We defer it to June because we can't make a decision now, because we've got three options and,
I second that.
okay, are we all voting on that? Yeah.
So,
Just one abstention.
well, that's
Did I understand we should be looking into a recommendation of, say, 1,000k for the...
Yes.
Yeah, to recommend to full council, £1,000
Can I
for general
propose that?
results.
Yeah. And we will, ready? Thank you. Okay, yes, because time is ticking on. Maybe the other bits a little quicker. Right, so,
Yeah, fine.
other assets management. So we've got an update about benches.
Yes.
One of them is about moving a bench from one place to another, isn't it? Is it the cheese shop bench to the Dawson and Hall site?
No, not quite.
Yeah.
If I take these one at a time. So what I'm doing is relaying information to you. You need to make the decisions as a committee. The first one is about this request. You'll have seen the paperwork for a brand new bench outside of Dawson and Hall. All I will say is your clerk is that your memorial bench policy says that you're not going to have any new benches. So, you know, and the person who is asking about this knows that, but still wants me to bring this to this committee.
So, sorry, yes, go on home.
Can I suggest giving them the bench from Holy Trinity, because that seems to be in quite a good nick. It's been
Right.
removed from
And that's-
Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity one has been removed, yes, because I was saying one from the cheese shop as well.
Oh.
There's two, aren't there, that are needing a new home?
Yeah. The problem with it is your policy says no new benches. Moving it, you need permissions from Kirklees,
Right.
and at the moment they're not going to give you permission anyway because the works are going on.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I have said this to the person, but they still wanted me to bring this to you.
Can we suggest that it's not appropriate at the moment because
But we will
the
revisit
place
it.
is a building site, but we can review it and then bear in mind what Harry said and what I think is that, you know, moving around of benches seems quite sensible to me.
I'd just like to reaffirm that our policy of no more benches.
Yeah.
We don't agree to a new bench, but there again, and then again, that we defer any decision until the work is all finished and we know where the benches are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
So can you put a motion together on that one then, that you're prepared to revisit this question after the works are complete and the possible reciting of an existing bench,
Yes.
subject to Kirklees permissions and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we vote on that,
Yeah.
seems sensible.
Right, so that's that one. Right, solutions to the persistent removal of a memorial plaque from a bench. If you're on Facebook at all, you might have seen different threads of posts regarding this. I'm trying to remember exactly where the bench is. I can't now, sorry, but either way, this poor family about a year ago got in contact with us, wanted a memorial plaque on a bench that we've already got. We gave permission, they gave a £40 donation towards it. John installed the plaque for them and the plaque went missing. The family, without waiting for John to be involved, installed a new plaque. That went missing. There's been all sorts of argy-bargy on Facebook really about whether it's the people who've already got a plaque on there, are their family removing this plaque, and they say they're not, and so forth, blah, 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 blah. I have offered to the people who provided the plaque, I have offered, I've said, John is prepared to look at sort of gluing a plaque on. The person from the family I've been speaking to describes himself as a joiner, and his request to you as a committee is he wants permission from you as a committee to embed a plaque within the bench. So, you know, sort of dig a hole in the bench and put a plaque in and glue it in so that it's not able to be got out. Now, I have explained to him that as a committee, generally speaking, it's only John that you allow to do this kind of work. But he is absolutely adamant. Obviously, you know, there are all sorts of emotions running here because it's a plaque for his parents. He's absolutely adamant that he wants to be able to install it, and he knows that he can't do anything to install it unless he's got permission from you as a committee.
Can I move that we just give him permission? He's a joiner, it's a bench, it's a bit of glue, it's not going to kill the bench because he's gluing it in, so therefore it'll seal the wood. I move to allow him to put the plaque in.
Mary?
I think I've got a different view. I think we reaffirm which is our practice, which is that it's only John that does things to benches. And the idea of scooping out, and I think it'll still go. I can't see how you can actually fix something which is not going to be removed. So I think we stick with what we've got and just simply.
Okay. Harry?
Yeah.
Can I ask whereabouts the bench is?
I can't remember, Harry, so I
think
haven't got it
it's
written in front of me.
It's in the Kirkside Gardens, isn't it?
Right.
I think that's where it was.
If you want, I can put a trail camera up.
Yeah, I've got one of them.
Is it in?
I think it was in the Homeside Gardens or somewhere like that.
No,
Am I
it's
wrong?
in New Mill, isn't
I
it?
think it's
It's a different
I
one.
think it's a remote
You're not allowed to use it.
position. So,
So you're not allowed to, we'd have to vote to have a trail camera put up.
I think something that is so personal to a family, I think it seems churlish of us to stick to a rule that only John can do it. You know, I do think memorial benches have just such personal significance for people.
So second my vote then.
I do agree, I will second John's
One minute.
vote on
Quick
this
vote.
particular thing. I mean, I think we can cause such offence. I understand why we have these rules, but I think
Well, I mean, I think I voted against having any plaques on any benches when we were discussing it.
Yes.
For various reasons, because all of these issues will
And I
come up
know,
and have come up, so. However, we made the decision, I think, to have no more than 3 Italy on the bench.
Can I suggest that the applicant and John
Meet.
do it together?
that's a good idea.
Oh, what a
Therefore-
great idea.
Therefore, our employee or our contracted
Oversees.
employee is overseeing the work.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
We don't,
Yes.
we are told he's a joiner. I'd be right to let the saying I'm a joiner, I've got a chisel.
okay,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Let's vote on
Steve's
that.
suggestion is a perfect compromise, so let's vote on that.
That's unanimous. Winning.
Well
Well done, Steve.
Unanimous.
Well done again.
Right,
Not doing
third
it.
is the bench from outside the cheese shop. You know there's a long saga to this, in that the cheese shop plan for this bench to be removed. We've been in touch with, or we've tried to be in touch with the people who actually owned the area and have had no response from them. The cheese shop had moved the bench anyway, so they had moved it to down.
They put it next to the
What's it
bins.
called? They put it next to the bins. They have moved it. I don't know if it's still there.
Or that same area, that same stretch.
Norwich Bottom. They,
Yeah, they moved it down
They
the bottom
moved
of
it
the
down.
cobbles, haven't they?
yeah,
Mm.
yes. But I don't know if it's still there or not. I've not been around for the last few weeks. So what do you want me to do about this?
They would ask me now.
Because they've moved it anyway. What do you want me to do?
Can we forget
Don't
about
say they're allowed to move it.
No, no. This is the cheese shop.
Well, I'll go back this weekend and put it back where it's meant to be.
Yeah.
We had
But-
permission. There was this long palaver over. We had to enter into an agreement with the actual owner to say, yes, they gave us permission to have our benches there. And it was actually just a precursor because the cheese shop wanted us to move the bench. But now, the owner of the land, their landlord, if you like, is just out of contact entirely. So I have tried to contact him to say, they say that you've given permission to have the benches removed, but you've not had any contact with us. What, can you be clear about what the situation is? But we've had no response back.
Surely we should be throwing that back onto the cheese shop.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're having to spend time on this.
No.
The cheese shop should be saying to their landlord, give us some written confirmation.
The point is they've now kidnapped the bench lot.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So what do you want me to do about it?
Can you write to the cheese shop telling them to put the bench back where it belongs?
Can I just check though? Because the cheese shop have now put in the gazebo tent thing, haven't they?
Should you be talking about the cheese shop?
No, I shouldn't. No, yes, I'm allowed to talk about the cheese shop. I was told at the start I could, so there. So, I think the benches, or at least one bench, was where the cheese shop has now put the gazebo thing.
Which aren't supposed to be there.
Well, I don't know if they've got permission to be
No.
there.
Without permission.
Yeah,
But they can't put it back if it's in there, can they?
Well, they can't. They could take the gazebos down.
where the bench is now, is that on Kirtley's land, or is it Grant?
It's the landowner. It's not Kirklees land.
It's
It's
still
his
not
landowner.
Right, okay. Because the other thing is, potentially there's a bench that can go to Dawson Hall in the course of time or something. What are we going to do with this bench?
I would suggest we wait until we know where if it's safe where it is, if we think it's safe where it is, just until we know how much space is left and where
Yeah.
benches are going to end up eventually.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, we take it
If it's
into
the same
storage.
landowner, if they put it round the bottom, it's on the same bit of land as the.
Presumably, yes.
Can we ask Simon Blythe who the landowner is? Because he'll rent the shop out. most likely.
Well, we know.
We know who the landowner is.
Yeah.
Or we've got an email address from the landowner, and we've been told in no uncertain terms it is just that email address we have to correspond to them with. I've met the landowner in the past, he's a very nice gentleman, but the problem is he's not answering his emails. We have been told, no, we can't have a phone number and there's no other way of
He needs to
contacting him.
go back to the cheese shop then. They need to put the bench back and get written confirmation that we can move the bench. It's down to the cheese shop. If they don't want the bench there, they have to deal with it.
I was going to say, you know, exactly that, they have no authority to move it. Prior to them asking them to move it back.
And
Until
also,
there's-
we're aware that the gazebos are up illegally and once they want us to do something about it, they need to put the bench down.
I thought we had already agreed in the past that we have to move that.
We
have discussed this.
We have
before.
discussed
This
and agreed it can be
And
moved.
agreed it can be moved, yes.
Yeah, and so I think they've just taken the law into their own hands.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
discussed it.
And are you allowed to share who the landowner is? Because one of us might know him and have a mobile number for.
Barry Steele. It's on the camera now. There you go.
No reason
No.
to be fair.
It's that I think it's a chap who owns Wilby's,
Yes.
Wilby's estate agent?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
but he's retired.
Right.
Again, with an eye on the clock, this is taking a long time. It's not going to get a resolution in the short term. We do have a lot of other things around the benches coming up, and the Holligate ones as well, because of the works that are going on, with the possibility of re-siting several of the benches. So can I just say we hold it up? They're keeping it safe for us if it's still on their land. They're liable for it if anything happens to it. And so we leave it there with them until we have somewhere to put it properly.
Okay,
Yeah.
are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
on that?
Absolutely.
Generally, yes, okay. Right, benches removed from Holligate.
Yeah, so these are benches that we moved in. John was and moved in were round by is it Bear Coffee near the chocolate box while the works were first carried out, and then of course the works on Holligate seemed to finish. John put the benches back, they've disappeared. I've been in touch with Reynolds. Reynolds haven't got them, so all you need to know is that those benches have disappeared and I've no way of finding them.
Well, we've got two spare, so it'll be fine.
Are these the Mick Kirby Geddes benches?
No.
No, right.
Not
ordinary
the
benches, the
proper
ones that
ones.
went with shop.
Or the other.
Right, so that's noted.
Right, and then a bench has been removed from outside Holy Trinity Home First. Is that a mystery one as well?
It's not a mystery one.
That's
You've got the
in Leeds,
email
though.
trail. And just what do you want me to do about it?
Can I ask who gave authority to move this bench?
No one.
No one. Can I ask who's moved it?
I don't think you can ask me that. It's been on Facebook, I understand. So obviously, when I put papers out, I anonymise and take out personal details.
Well,
So
apart from the please line at the bottom of the email. Sorry, that wasn't a criticism of you. That was just
Well, it's in,
surmising where it's come from.
there's an email to you, Jen, saying
that-
the HVPC bench is now stored in my garden. But of course, the name is redacted on our minutes.
Yes, it is. So what do you want?
Whoever that is has got it.
That's okay, again,
I
we
don't know.
know where it is.
So presumably again it's safe. I mean it's pretty bad practice that we weren't actually consulted about it, and because the old bench, the old wood, cast iron and wooden benches look much nicer to make them matter of aesthetics, isn't it, to my mind, than the kind of metal stuff that's there, which looks incredibly uncomfortable to sit on. But that should not have happened. But we know where they are, so let's let them.
Can I ask you a question? Did the person who's got it in their garden move it, or did somebody else?
Well, I take it from the email that they were responsible for moving.
Oh, and do they intend on moving it
Well,
back?
normally you don't sort of,
Pick a bench up?
sort of go,
I've
someone
been
left a
known to
bench
do
in my garden, but I think it's yours.
I have been known to do that.
I think it's either a police officer or a police councillor.
whoever it's his emails from is saying that they're stored in the garden. Can you advise me what I'd like you to do? And I'm suggesting that we know where they are, we've got contact,
Yeah.
and we just leave them there
Right.
again until we know
Until
what the
everything's-
future is with.
Yeah.
Well, John refers to this in his report, so
And he does,
it's gone
yes.
missing and how valuable those side panels are. And the person who's replaced it with somebody else feels very worthy of praise for having replaced two that he considers superior.
Where are we going with this?
I think we should complain that he has removed them without getting permission. I think he should be chastised.
But asks if we can keep them there safe, we know where they are.
It's just one, I think, isn't it, this one?
Two, I think.
There's two new ones being put there.
I think it's one bench.
No, it's one bench.
Two benches.
Yeah.
They put two new benches in and have moved ours, which was one. Yeah, it's that one. The one that says wet pen.
It does say that it's an oversight,
Yes.
so it's not malice, is it?
No, but he should have known to ask permission before you remove a bench that belongs to somebody else.
Well, I just think it's much of a muchness, let's move on. Right, so,
I don't,
well, if we're going to start nitpicking, we can start nitpicking, can't we? But we can't wrote about it, we know where it is, like Mary says, move on. Next. So what are you directing me to do?
So that's the proposal, that
The proposal is we know where they are.
we know where they are, let's wait until everything's sorted. So that's, somebody second that,
Yeah.
next.
can I also just start, not about that specific thing, but we're just brushing over the fact that somebody's taken two of our other benches and we're just going to leave it at that.
The ones on holiday?
Yeah.
Well, I just think they've been moved. I don't know if they've been nicked, have they?
Well,
But we don't know
We
where
don't,
they
we don't
are.
know.
yeah, well,
Has it been moved in the kerfuffle of
My first thought was it had been Reynolds that moved them, but I've been in touch with Reynolds and they have, because they apparently have some benches, so I told them to go look at the benches they've got and make sure they didn't have our plaque on, the sort of the little plaque that says ownership, and they categorically said no. They don't have.
I've seen where they store, loosely, their stuff. I'll walk past and have a look and see if I can spot a
Do
bench.
you think we need to do some sleuthing?
Well, if not, I think we need to check in CCTV, because two of our...
No
assets are-
CCTV works.
Carry on, sorry.
Next.
Right, well, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to just found out.
So with this resolution for number 5, are you wanting me to write to the person or not? Or are we just leaving it as it is?
I think we should be in communication with him.
Yes.
Again, ask him to look after it, but also to say that it shouldn't have
But
been
we won't
removed
put it down.
without permission.
Second,
Yeah, okay. Are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. The next bit is Hayday Shelter, which we've actually talked about, haven't we? So,
talk about the room. I might just add that there's also the notice board, the village notice board is going inside of that shelter. And it's along the lines of what was talked about before, is actually somebody from the village alongside John that's doing the installation.
right, okay. So that's just a note. War memorials.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've made no progress on this, and I do realise it means we're going to miss the 28th of February deadline for getting an application into the War Memorials Trust. The next deadline is a June one, so that's what I'm aiming for.
Right. Telephone box update.
Yes, in terms of the Heckworth one, I need to talk to a Kirklees Heritage Officer about the possibility of delisting the box. I've had no correspondence from the British Armed owners though, and you know, I am in contact with a member of public who inquired about this, but that's where we've got to, which is not very far. And you know, so we're a long way before I'm putting any proposals to you about that box. The Netherthorn box, I just want you to note that we've had a change in custodian, and I will write to the custodian we've had to thank them formally for what they've done. They're moving.
Okay.
Okay.
In relation to the first one, trying to get it delisted, that will have to go through English Heritage or whatever it's called now, Kirklees will have no.
I suspect it's going to be too much for you to take on as a committee and as a council, you know.
I think Kirklees will have no power to delist it. And I think even if they wrote to English Heritage saying, can you delist it, it would be going, oh, jolly good.
Right, okay, Joe?
So I will call in at the Hepworth pub, because it's my local pub, so I don't mind going in and asking the owners to get in contact with you. But what are we unlisting it for? Are we removing it? Or?
So it's in a poor and sorry state, and there have been inquiries before about it becoming one of the boxes that's under our care, if you like, and we would have to pay to restore it, but it then becomes a community use, so like a library. And we've had a request from a member of the public who I think is a member of the Hepworth Residents Association. So it's got the support of the Residents Association. The idea that it would come under custodianship and be I think it's a book exchange that they're thinking of turning it into. So,
I'll call it the pub.
thank you.
Okay. Kirby Memorial Orchard at Sands, as an update on the installation of plaque.
Just to say, there was a flurry of correspondence about this in January, around the 15th. I think the Kirklees officer is chasing it up, but whether we're going to get any, and I have emailed again all the Home Valley South councillors trying to get them to you know, sort of take this forward for us, but that's where we're at. And if you want to add anything.
Well, just meanwhile, I think
Just
two of the apple
aside.
trees have died. Well, one of them didn't survive the drought, the other one has been vandalised, so I shall be seeking replacement trees from what still remains in the EMR for that.
Have we got no idea when this is going to complete yet? I mean, the only thing is at the moment is that within Honley, Friends of Honley put money into the COVID memorial on the assumption that the Honley Parish Council would reimburse some of those costs. But at this moment in time, until we've got that, we're waiting to see what the final cost was, which is the last bit is the installing the plaque, isn't it? And then we know what budget was left in the AMR for this year. I'm just getting worried now because we're getting to the end of the year.
Well, we have a quotation from John Ford. So I mean, so that we do more or less know how much money is going to be left in there. But obviously we've now got to buy 2 more trees and there'll be a bit of pruning as well. So, but there's still a fairly substantial amount, which I think is for wildflower planting underneath the apple trees at Honley. That's what I understand it. That's the money that's going to be used for. I think the other planting's been paid
It's
for.
all been sorted.
Yes, it has, yeah, because it was paid directly here, the parish council paid
Some of it was, yes. I didn't think all of it was.
Well, I think all of it was, but yeah. Anyway, check.
Anyway, right.
Before we move on, do you need a motion then about these replacement trees and expenditure?
Yes, presumably, because I mean there is still money left in that budget, but it needs to roll through to next. Yeah, that's fine.
So I move that.
Yeah.
We improve expenditure for 2 more
Okay.
trees.
Yeah.
2 replacement trees. sorry.
Replacement trees.
Yeah.
You need to say an amount.
I would say £200 would cover the whole.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, are we all in agreement to vote on £200 for replacement trees?
I've got nothing to say about item 78 New Mill Close Cemetery. That last update I gave about that was fine.
Right, maintenance contract?
Yes, so because we have not got to a point where we have got the new contracts that have been running by any means, I do need you to consider a motion to extend the existing contract until, I would say, the end of this year.
Yeah.
31st of the
Yeah.
12th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote on that.
Do we need to suspend standing orders?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just nearly 9 o'clock. So how much have we got? No, we're nearly there. To carry on, past 9 o'clock, are we
Yeah.
okay, just finish off? Okay. Right, tourism. Anything to say on that?
Brief, well, I suppose, apart from what I've already said about the heritage stuff, Heritage Week will happen in September and will be excellent. I've written to the Kirklees Regeneration Scrutiny Panel, who were expecting to come out to Home Firth sometime early March, I think, and I've written quite a long email to them expressing, our interest in tourism and so on, and the importance of tourism to the area, and hope they take that on board. The only other thing in terms of tourism I can think of is that there's still some videos that are being Steve knows
there
more
are
about this.
2 videos yet to be shot by Northern Contact, because they were to show the valley in its finest. And basically since Christmas, poor old Olivia hasn't really had 3 consecutive days of something remotely close to sunshine. So we understand why those will be shot as early as they can be, but
It can't be long.
hopefully we will get some sunshine going on for a few hours. She was very upset last time I spoke to her, because she thought that we would be champing at the bit and demanding action. You can't shoot.
Okay.
Can I ask about the bus maps, the stop bus maps?
That will come up in a moment.
Yeah. Right, so, yeah, are you okay about tourism? Youth work in the Home Valley. Just the budget.
Yeah, so unless anyone's got anything they want to say about the reports and things, the one thing I would ask you to consider is approval of a payment £5,000 to Kirklees Alliance for youth services in the Home Valley, and that's the last payment for this financial year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I just say, I think it looks like they're making really good progress and it's going really well.
Can we send a thank you to the staff that do this? Because, I mean, on a shoestring budget, they are achieving remarkable figures.
The next item is Transport Working Group and the Snots Minibus Provision Update, which Lawrence can say a little bit about.
Well, I'll pick up firstly on what Tricia just asked, which was that we are, I don't know if you have anything specific to ask about the bus routes map, but we managed to source somebody that we were happy with to do the design work. He's come back just in the last couple of days. Alison and I met him with the first draft, which we're pretty much pleased with. There'll be some tweaking and so on, but fundamental design we're happy with. There's money in the budget already for it, so we will see something quite soon, basically, on that, and certainly in time for the start of the tourism season.
Yeah.
And can I suggest that when it's ready to roll, when we're ready to launch it, we go and hand it out. That instead of just putting it in a little pile somewhere in the library, I really want people to get on those start buses. So I'm quite happy to go and stand out in
Not just leaflet, but put something in the notice board,
Yes.
something that it's like a metro map that you
Yes.
can go.
Yeah, and that we go and promote it. I mean, I've done my bit this last week getting people on the stop buses who are wandering about lost with the map, and suggested they might care to get on the stop bus, and they did.
So random people looking lost got put on buses.
I made them go. and make them get on stop buses. Hey, they were chuffed with my suggestion.
Well done.
But they didn't end up at home.
Wait 3 hours for the next one.
I heard from a very well placed source. that
Where are you trying to get
Scott's
to?
is going to
Bradford?
fail, like Zoom.
Right.
Do you want to talk about this in public session?
Oh, why not?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
It's for sale, it might not be private advertised.
I don't think this should be in public session.
Okay. Well, what do we do? Just move on?
I just think in principle, not
Right,
make
yeah.
Yeah.
don't take that line anymore, to just say in
Yeah.
principle.
Just in case it's not.
Can we discuss this in a private session?
You can go into private
Can
session.
we, I move that we go to private session.
Okay, yeah, okay. Are you happy to do that for a few minutes and then?
Yeah.
Harry can
Well, if Harry's source is
Harry's
correct.
source, is it sound?
If
I know somebody that went to school
Hang
with-
on, I'm going to turn because I've had such issues with I'm going to turn the video on you in private session.
Can I just say, while we're just waiting?
Thank you, Harry.
It's just the button to start the video that you press.
Yeah.
Okay, last bit, the Urban Nature Reserve project. We have a section of the Parish Council website now, which is on the community, what's it called? Climate Action, which has got the wherewithal of why we're doing the Nature Reserve project. And then I put up a January newsletter, encouraging people to do a couple of things. And I'm in the process of writing another newsletter to add to that, so we can have a monthly or bi-monthly input of interest, really. I'm also taking collection of Swift boxes tomorrow. They're coming from Action for Swifts. And this afternoon I went to see Netherthorne School to look at where they can put a 5-berth nest box up on their gable end. And they're all quite excited. And got a little group of kids who are bird watchers now doing that. So that'll be our first sort of push about doing something, which is making Netherthorne a Swift village. That's the promotional push for that. And then we're going to look at bat walks and bat talks. Chris is talking to River Home Connections about having bat monitors and things like that. And I'd like to do something about hedgehogs as well, which is more of a thing which includes children. Copying something that's happening in the Cone Valley, actually. I'm not being very original with that. But yeah, so that's where we are at the moment.
Can I just ask when the Swift boxes, when BT are fitting the Swift boxes?
Ah, yes, I didn't tell you the slightly bad news part.
Oh,
No, it's not really, it's just that we haven't got a date and it's really annoying. And we had a team of 3 men who were going to come and tell us the date. And it's reduced to 1 man called Phil now, because John's got a bad leg. I don't know where the other man's gone. But we're regrouping because Natasha from RSPB is sort of hectoring them a bit, like, come on.
Okay,
you
so it
promised.
will be
Yeah, so I thought they'd just say, we're next in Netherthorne in March and it would be done. No, we've got 2 more months.
2 more months. Okay, that's good. So
that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay. So items for publicity.
I think the last one, the Swift boxes. The item for publicity is a good one too.
Well, I'm going to take the big 5 chambers Swift box into Netherthorne School. That might be quite a nice photograph.
Yes.
Because the deputy head said she'd like the children to see it before it's put high up on the wall and you can't see them, you can't sort of see them.
And the toilets, we're publicising that we have baby changing.
Oh yes, the advertising of facilities. Yeah.
Did you say that you were going to put that on the It's Your Home First thing, the toilet facilities? You know, you said make it about your home first, that you would.
No, I suggested that I asked that Jamie make contact with Red Back.
Yes.
Oh, that's it, yes.
So that's what I thought we would do, publicising the toilets via that.
This is just a
Where the facilities